We're gonna talk here about the dull with the gangster mask and the malicious with the gangster mask.
Two persons gathered up for laziness and carelessness. They left school at an early age, despite the availability of all conditions that allow them to continue and achieve good results, even though circumstances make it difficult to open some doors. Or it forces a person to start from a point farther away from another person who has good conditions during his beginnings. But in the case of these two, it was the mindset that pulled them down whenever they meet and sit together. They just do drugs and actions that only harm and do not benefit, such as harassing people and other harmful pranks like things to random strangers they don't know, such as the mission person number 1 planned, which was to enter a store of a man who was taking a narcotic herb and steal it from him. Person number 1 stayed for a period of time monitoring the movements of this merchant, until he knew when he buy his weekly quantity and where he hide it inside the store. He even knew how much he consumed per week. After that, he ordered person number 2 to carry the mission out, but unfortunately for him, the store owner caught him red-handed, and what prevented him from being brought to trial on charges of theft was that the merchant also consumed illegal things. So he just disciplined him a little bit until his anger went out. Frankly, even though the person number 1 sent him to do the difficult and dangerous work, the operation failure was not because of him, but rather because the dull with the gangster mask was very slow in implementation. His orders were to enter the store after the merchant left for buy his coffee, and then go to the shelves of cleaning materials, especially the shelf of toilet cleaners. Then he will find his target there. The dull with the gangster mask searched among the bottles, but he neglected to look above them, as the merchant placed the narcotic herb in a gap he made between the layers of shelves. Well, I guess person number 2 can't think for himself, and do things aren't among the plan. Not only that, in a period that passed, they used to go to a park located between a group of buildings designated for companies, a beautiful park that attracts most employees to rest in it after they finish work, before heading to transportation. So the malicious with the gangster mask invented a method to make a quick, light income. It is walking around the park, hoping to find a woman resting on one of chairs designated for public, and not any woman conform to the plan, but only those wearing high-heel shoes, because the majority of them take it off while they are sitting, so that their feet can rest a little from the pressure they received all the day. The dull with the gangster mask sent to snatch it. After that, the malicious with the gangster mask takes over and sells it to one of the dealers in the market. Thus, they are able to make their weekly money even more, because sometimes they steal high-priced shoes, and even if that is not the case, at least the price is good, because usually high-heel shoes are expensive, in addition to the fact that an employee woman will not wear cheap shoes, especially during working hours inside the company, because this will damage her reputation and damage her image among her colleagues. Yes, they are good facts that were exploited by person number 1, with all virulence and evil. Person number 2 is not the type who follows because he has a goal in himself that he seeks to achieve, so he do orders of the person who could help him, until what he wants becomes a reality. Rather, he is one of the stupid people who consider everything to be a joke. He consider everything simple, easily to overlooked, knowing that he is not sick or have a psychological or mental illness. He's healthy with a normal IQ. It's possible he just likes to do this. Person number 1 did not even leave the family of the dull with the gangster mask out of his plans. One time during their conversation, person number 2 told him that his aunt, who visited them, had bought a new car. Then, on the night he received the news, he ordered person number 2 to bring him the car keys when his family went to sleep. Person number 1 took from the car the maintenance kit and the spare tire, in addition to a bag they found in the back seats containing a sportswear and sneakers that belonged to person number 2's aunt. As usual, he will search for someone to sell to, hoping to make some money after a long drought. This incident terrified person number 2's auntie so much, she became hesitant to visit them. It also made the neighborhood guard accountable, so he was at least threatened of being fired from his job. As days pass and people grow older, they become in need of money to provide at least their basic needs. Moreover, for those, there is a need to satisfy addiction and other bad habits that only lead to the abyss. One day, the first person met a group active in illegal activities. He mingled with them, got to know them, and also learned some of the details of these activities and their methods. Sometime later, he was ordered to transport a quantity of narcotic drugs from one neighborhood to another. This was the first mission he had received of this type and size. He thought a little and came up with a plan to convince his companion, person number 2, which he see as a servant, to participate with him. After a monologue that lasted a few minutes, he was convinced to participate. Note that person number 1 does some effort in this case cause it's kind of big and contains risks. But for the precedent things, person number 2 was just following. Because in his eyes that harassing is a sort of fun, he didn't know that it could lead him to undesirable results. Plus, for now he also wanted the money prize person number 1 promised he would give him from transporting. The time for implementation came, and the two proceeded to the receiving location. Smoothly and without any obstacles, person number 1 entered the receiving location, while his companion remained waiting for him outside, approximately 2 blocks away. 16 minutes passed, then person number 1 left the receiving location. He went to his companion immediately and handed him 4 packages of the material that needed to be delivered. He took the packages and put it inside his backpack. And then they started walking. While walking, after covering several blocks together, they were surprised by police officers who surrounded them and arrested them. The police found 4 packages of illegal stuff in the bag of person number 2, while person number 1 did not found anything on him except a shirt and some equipment. Person number 2 was surprised to know that he would spend 4 years in prison, while his companion is free. Yes, he has been deceived. He thought that they were both carrying the same amount of illegal stuff, while in reality, 4 packages was the entire amount, and that this was a planned figment by his companion, who see him just a servant, and using his stupidity for his interest. A cunning plan that does not involve any risks or danger surrounding person number 1. Now, what then? What happened. Regret penetrated deep into the brain of the dole with the gangster mask. He is now imprisoned. After spending a full year behind bars, he concluded that he only have 2 solutions. The first is to remain lazy and indifferent and delve deeper into addictions. The second is to pull himself together and try to build it up and make up for what he missed, in addition to learn new skills and use the remaining 3 years behind bars to develop. The suffering and feeling of betrayal, in addition to the valuable and harsh lesson that he had to learn the hard way, led him to the right choice. The second option. After the prison years has passed, he left the cell free, and using the skills he began learning in prison, he entered school again, trying to obtain a certificate that would help him improve his situation. But more importantly than that, he got rid of his bad habits that were dragging him backwards, and he also became smarter. Perhaps it is a useful unhappiness. While person number 1, the malicious with the gangster mask, is still stubborn and on the same path. After telling the story, it is time to present 2 quotes to understand it more. The first says, "Naivety is like a time bomb. It explodes in your face when you least expect it. Learn how to distinguish between honesty and deception." This is what person number 2 couldn't achieve. He put blind trust in his companion, whom he thought was his friend. He was unable to see the situation clearly. He was unable to analyze well the mission he agreed to accomplish in all its dimensions and the repercussions that would result from it, which led him into danger. The second says, "Do not be naive to avoid pain, but be wise to learn from pain and grow." The dole with the gangster mask practiced this quote during 3 years in prison, even though it took him full year of thought and contemplation. But the end result, in taking the right path, was worth it.